Nana College of Pharmacy. I, Shilpriya Valde, welcome you all in the last lecture of module on New Product Development Management from Concept to Market. It was wonderful experience since these days. It's nice to have all together on one platform. All the 5 lectures were very informative and nicely explained by the resource person, Mr. Akshay Jha. For today's lecture, I again invite Mr. Akshay Jha to deliver his talk on the topic various literature for brand promotions. Akshay sir.
Just a second, folks. Sorry. Work. Okay. So there are 31 people on the call right now. Should we wait for a couple of minutes, or I think we should start? Basically, it's 6:02. So as a ma'am has already mentioned that today's webinar is basically the last in this entire module, which was based around how marketing of products in pharmaceutical sector is done. We did cover a lot of things, some of the major components, but I'll still say that there's a lot more to explore. And I think you should all try and explore more about this basic structure of pharmaceutical marketing and how things work over here, because it's again going to be a really unique career opportunity, at the same time something where we'll see growth in coming few years. So I'd really request all of you to please go and take a look at a lot of other components that we didn't discuss. And if in case, if you are reading anything and if you are going through something, and if at that moment you feel that you need to talk about that segment in a little detail, or do you want to discuss that, I'll be more than happy to help you out. Now, today's webinar basically revolves around marketing literatures, right? So whenever you see, like, just to give you an example about what marketing literature is, whenever you go out and you see a poster somewhere, like on in a cafe about an event, for example, about a product, for example, billboards, big billboards that you see about the new colleges or admission process and all those things, like that is basically a literature, right? And the major reason why companies use this literature or these literatures basically to promote their product, right? So literatures are nothing but various what you can say creative ways in which you can actually go ahead and promote your product. Now, one of the major challenges in pharmaceutical sector as compared to any other sector, right? When I'm talking about any other sector, it's almost any other sector. It's an automobile sector, or it's a FMCG sector, or any other sector. These sectors, all the sectors apart from pharmaceutical sector, can advertise their product either on social media or on TVs, or all other different platforms, including radios and all those things. So with these companies or these sectors, they have a lot of places or ways in which they can promote their product, or make sure that people are aware of that product. And आप लोग, like if you see current situation, आप लोग बहुत सारे ऐसे एडवर्टीजमेंट देखते हैं प्रोडक्ट का, बहुत सारे पोस्टर्स देखते हैं ऐसे प्रोडक्ट का, बहुत सारे लिटरेचर्स आप देखते हैं ऐसे प्रोडक्ट का. Now, what is unique about pharmaceutical sector is because of rules and regulations, right? Drugs and Magic Remedy Act. There are a lot of rules and regulations around what you can basically what you can advertise and what you cannot advertise. So basically, आप उन्हीं products को advertise कर सकते हैं in mediums पे, whether online medium हो, offline medium हो, किसी भी तरीके का medium हो, print, online, anything. जो OTC सेगमेंट में आते हैं, जैसे आप रिवाइटल का एडवर्टीजमेंट देखते हैं, जैसे आप जेलुसिल का एडवर्टीजमेंट देखते हैं, इनो का देखते हैं आप, like these are the products which are OTC product for which you don't require prescription. So these products can be promoted through all these methods. But for those products which basically requires prescription, you cannot advertise these products directly. तो आपके जो कस्टमर्स है, जो कि आपके प्रिस्क्राइबर्स है, जो आपके फिजिशियंस, हेल्थ केयर प्रैक्टिशनर्स है, उनको ये प्रोडक्ट के बारे में पता कैसे चलेगा, राइट? हम लोग बहुत समय से बात कर रहे हैं कि ब्रांड दिखना चाहिए, ब्रांड के बारे में अवेयरनेस होनी चाहिए, बट हम ब्रांड के बारे में अवेयरनेस, ब्रांड के बारे में अपडेट्स हम कैसे देंगे? तो ये जो करा जाता है, ये पूरा का पूरा मार्केटिंग लिटरेचर्स के हेल्प से किया जाता है। इन टुडेज सेशन we'll take a look at all those marketing literatures that is required or that is actually useful in promoting your product. And हम हर एक लिटरेचर के बारे में इन डिटेल डिस्कस करेंगे कि इन लिटरेचर्स में क्या होना चाहिए, क्या नहीं होना चाहिए, क्या अच्छा दिखता है इन लिटरेचर्स में, क्या मेथड होना चाहिए इसको बनाने का, एंड ऑल दोस थिंग्स. This is something that we'll discuss. Just give me a second. My room has a lot of darkness. I'll just switch on my light. Just give me a second. Yeah, it's better. Okay. So I'll quickly share my screen and then we'll go ahead. Today's lecture won't be a really long lecture. We'll end up in 45 minutes at max. But आज का लेक्चर का बेसिक रिक्वेस्ट ये है कि आपको स्क्रीन की तरफ कंटिन्यूसली देखते रहना पड़ेगा. इट इज नॉट लाइक एनी अदर वेबिनार दैट वी हैव अटेंडेड टिल नाउ, जहाँ पे हम even if you are just listening, you'll be able to understand. But in today's webinar, you'll have to continuously take a look at the screen because हम उसी के बेसिस पे समझ पाएंगे. आज आप वर्बल डिस्कशन से ये सब चीजें नहीं समझ पाएंगे. Okay, so I've shared my screen. I hope all of you can see my screen. Right. So before we go ahead about marketing literatures, कुछ बातें हैं जो हमको मार्केटिंग लिटरेचर्स के बारे में समझना बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है. एंड ये हर तरीके के, हर कैटेगरी ऑफ मार्केटिंग लिटरेचर के लिए ये पॉइंट्स जो है वो कॉमन है. एंड it is relevant in all the kinds of pharmaceutical marketing literature that we're talking about. सबसे important बात ये रहता है जब भी आप कोई भी मार्केटिंग के लिए लिटरेचर बनाते हैं, स्पेसिफिकली इन फार्मास्यूटिकल, एंड ये इन जनरल भी अप्लाई होता है, इज टू एनालाइज और आप एंड टू फाइनलाइज कि आपका टारगेट ऑडियंस क्या है. लाइक आप जो वो लिटरेचर बना रहे हो, वो लिटरेचर कौन पढ़ने वाला है एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, या उसका यूज करके आप किन किन लोगों को प्रमोट करने वाले हैं प्रोडक्ट. दैट एक्चुअली इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज उसके बेसिस पे ही आप पूरा का पूरा लिटरेचर डिजाइन करोगे. नाउ टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, अगर मैं कोई एक लिटरेचर बना रहा हूँ जिसका मेरा मेजर मोटिव ये है कि मैं नॉर्मल कंज्यूमर को मैं प्रमोट करना चाहता हूँ. कंज्यूमर मतलब फार्मास्यूटिकल मार्केट में जो मेरा मेडिसिन कंज्यूम कर रहा है, नॉट द वन हु इज प्रिस्क्राइबिंग. नाउ ये जो कंज्यूमर रहते हैं, they don't know a lot about the technicalities जो आपको और मुझे पता होगा. like एक नॉर्मल कंज्यूमर को पैरासिटामोल पता होगा, डाइक्लोफिनाक नाम सुना होगा उसने, आइबुप्रोफेन नाम सुना होगा. बट अगर मैं उसी कंज्यूमर के साथ अगर मैं इन प्रोडक्ट की बात कर रहा हूँ और मैं उसको NSAIDs बोलूंगा, तो शायद उसको ये समझ भी नहीं है कि NSAIDs क्या होता है, राइट? ऑन द कॉन्ट्ररी, अगर मैं एक डॉक्टर से बात कर रहा हूँ तो उसके लिए NSAID समझना बहुत ज्यादा आसान है, बिकॉज द फिजिशियन बिलोंग्स टू the healthcare sector where this term is normal, right? तो आप जब भी लिटरेचर बना रहे हैं तो इट्स वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप किस पर्सन के लिए वो लिटरेचर बना रहे हैं, उसके लैंग्वेज में बनना चाहिए, इस तरीके से बनना चाहिए कि उसको समझ में आए कि हम क्या कन्वे करना चाहते हैं, राइट? दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट. सेकेंड इज आपका कलर स्कीम, राइट? कलर स्कीम Folks, can you please make sure that you all are on mute as soon as you join, please? Right. Perfect. So, yes, where was I? Okay. Now, second point है ये है कि आपका विजुअल अपील के लिए किस तरीके से दिखता है आपका ब्रांड लिटरेचर. उसमें दो और पॉइंट बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. फर्स्ट पॉइंट इज आपका कलर स्कीम, राइट? बहुत लोग ये बात समझ नहीं पाते हैं कि कलर इज ऑल्सो अ पार्ट ऑफ ब्रांड, राइट? बहुत बार कलर भी इंडिकेट करता है ब्रांड. टू गिव यू एन एग्जांपल, हमने फर्स्ट लेक्चर में हमने इस चीज के बारे में बेसिकली डिस्कस किया था कि अगर हम कोक की बात करें या कोक की किसी बॉटल की हम बात करें, तो हम कोक के बॉटल को आइडेंटिफाई बेसिकली एक उसके स्पेसिफिक रेड कलर से आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं. लाइक व्हेनेवर वी सी दैट रेड कलर और दैट काइंड ऑफ बॉटल, इट बेसिकली गिव्स अस एन आइडिया कि भाई अच्छा ये कोक का बॉटल हो सकता है, इवन दो इट्स है कि नहीं है, बट आपका फर्स्ट रेफरेंस जो आपके दिमाग में आता है whenever you see that kind of packaging or that kind of red color, that is what comes to your mind, right? So color is very important, color scheme is very important. अभी जो हम लिटरेचर देखने वाले हैं उसमें मैं आपको बेसिकली एक्सप्लेन भी करूंगा कि कलर स्कीम किस तरीके से होना चाहिए एंड व्हाई इज इट अगेन इंपॉर्टेंट एज फार एज विजुअल अपील इज कंसर्न. थर्ड इज बेसिकली आप जो फॉन्ट्स यूज कर रहे हैं और आपके फॉन्ट्स के साइज क्या है. आप में से बहुत लोग जो एमफार्म अभी कर रहे हैं, दे एक्चुअली स्टार्ट राइटिंग देयर थीसिस वर्क really soon, in a couple of months time. They'll basically start working on those things, and जब आप उस पर काम करना चालू करते हैं तो बेसिक गाइडलाइंस रहते हैं आपके थीसिस लिखने के लिए कि फॉन्ट का हेडिंग का फॉन्ट ये होना चाहिए, उसका मैक्सिमम साइज इतना होना चाहिए, मार्जिन्स बेसिकली should have this much of margin, आपका जो नॉर्मल टेक्स्ट मैटर है उसका फॉन्ट क्या होना चाहिए या उसके साइज क्या होना चाहिए. so there are basic guidelines. These guidelines are there so that आपका जो पूरा का पूरा थीसिस है वो बेसिकली यूनानिमस दिखे, एक जैसा दिखे, और बेसिकली इट शुड लुक गुड. सो फॉन्ट्स बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करते हैं. आप किस तरीके का फॉन्ट यूज कर रहे हैं, कितने ज्यादा फॉन्ट यूज कर रहे हैं, वो भी बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है. तो माय पर्सनल सजेशन इज डोंट यूज अ लॉट ऑफ फॉन्ट, like stick to 2 to 3 fonts at max in any literature, at max, and don't go beyond that, right? Fourth point, it's really important for you to be creative, and आपका अप्रोच जो होना चाहिए कोई भी मार्केटिंग लिटरेचर बनाने के लिए वो बहुत ज्यादा ओपन अप्रोच होना चाहिए. और यू शुड बी इन अ स्टेट जहाँ पे आप बहुत अलग अलग जगहों से इंस्पिरेशन ले सके कि ओके दिस इज वन ऑफ दोज थिंग्स दैट आई कैन डू, और इस बेसिस पे मैं कुछ और लिटरेचर जनरेट कर सकता हूँ. Fifth, and the more again a very important point, is that as a brand manager or a marketing manager, आपकी major responsibility होती है कॉन्सेप्ट डिजाइन करना, ना कि पूरा का पूरा लिटरेचर डिजाइन करना. आपका लिटरेचर डिजाइन करने की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो रहती है वो एक ग्राफिक डिजाइनर की रहती है. योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी इज टू जनरेट कंटेंट and the concept of that particular product. Now, if you basically see different types of literature used in pharmaceutical marketing, you basically categorize them into 6 to 7 categories at max, right? First is visual aids. हम individually बात करेंगे, but I'm just telling you the names by which we call them. Second is leave behind literatures, which is also called as LBLs, one pagers, basically posters, danglers, greeting cards, reminder cards. These are the basic literatures or brochures for that matter. Like these are basic literatures and brochures that we use in pharmaceutical marketing, right? Now we'll basically start with first one, which is visual aid. Now this is one example of how a visual aid looks like. Now visual aid का basic motive होता है, as the name suggests, कि जिस चीज के मैं बारे में बात कर रहा हूँ उसका एक विजुअल रेफरेंस होना बहुत जरूरी है, राइट? नाउ फॉर एग्जांपल इन दिस केस माय प्रोडक्ट इज हिपासिड, राइट? नाउ हिपासिड के बारे में मैं जब बात कर रहा हूँ किसी भी फिजिशियन के साथ या डॉक्टर के साथ, या जब मैं उसको प्रमोट कर रहा हूँ, तो इट्स रियली इंपॉर्टेंट कि उसके सामने एक विजुअल रेफरेंस हो कि मैं किस तरीके की चीज की बात कर रहा हूँ, राइट? सो दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. अगर आप किसी भी विजुअल एड की बात करते हैं तो उसमें कुछ मेजर पॉइंट्स होते हैं जो कि बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं, एंड आई विल जस्ट पॉइंट दोस थिंग्स आउट व्हाइल आई एम एक्चुअली टॉकिंग अबाउट ऑल दीस थिंग्स, राइट? नाउ वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज कि आपका एक जो विजुअल रील रहता है उसमें एक बेसिक थीम होना चाहिए, राइट? कि आप जो प्रोडक्ट के बारे में बात कर रहे हो उससे रिलेटेड एक थीम होना चाहिए. नाउ इफ यू सी दिस प्रोडक्ट जो आपके स्क्रीन पे है, which is Hipacid, it is basically a liver tonic, right? Which what it actually does is it makes sure that आपका liver जो है वो हमेशा strong रहे और functional रहे. Folks, please keep yourself on mute.
Sorry.
Right. So I've muted everyone else now again, but please be mindful. So, like this product is basically a liver tonic, which makes sure कि आपका जो liver है वो continuously functional रहे. Now imagine कि आप जो right hand side है जहाँ पे product का brand का name लिखा हुआ है और आप बाकी उसके description अगर आप उसको हटा दे, even after that अगर आप इस only if you see the left hand side of this particular product, you will still be able to have a decent enough idea looking at the picture and looking at the tagline कि ये क्या प्रोडक्ट हो सकता है बेसिकली, राइट? दैट इज वन ऑफ द मेजर रीजन व्हाई यू शुड हैव अ थीम। बिकॉज आप जब भी किसी डॉक्टर के पास जाते हो, उससे बात करते हो प्रोडक्ट के बारे में, तो द डॉक्टर रेयरली हैज अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम, राइट? बिकॉज पेशेंट्स आर ऑलवेज देयर। एक डॉक्टर के पास बहुत कम समय होता है आपके प्रोडक्ट के बारे में सुनना। सो अ विजुअल रिप्रेजेंटेशन हेल्प्स डॉक्टर अंडरस्टैंड कि प्रोडक्ट क्या है in a simplest way, right? And that is the reason visual aids are really important, right? So अगर आप इस visual aid को देखें, it's a really good example of visual aid कैसा दिखना चाहिए. So you should always have a basic theme जो आपको दिख रहा है, जहां पे theme of this particular product is, जो आप tagline अगर पढ़ेंगे तो आपको समझ में आ जाएगा, when a detoxifier of body needs detoxification, right? So if you know, liver is considered as a detoxifier for the body because that liver is responsible for producing majority of enzyme that leads to metabolism of all the things that you eat or get inside your body and make sure कि वो आपके बॉडी से एलिमिनेट मेटाबोलाइज करके एलिमिनेट हो, और उसमें सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रोल रहता है लिवर का. So what this product want to say that in case the detoxifier of your body is not working properly, and if the detoxifier itself requires detoxification, and you can actually see in the image कि क्यों detoxification की requirement हो सकती है, because all the chemicals that we actually take inside the body, then this product is going to helpful for you, right? That's very important. Second चीज जो मैंने color scheme की बात की थी, you can see this particular thing. So if you take a look at the packaging of this product, the packaging of this product is basically a maroon color and white color, right? So you'll see that the entire visual aid represents the color scheme of the package, right? So जब भी आप इस visual aid को देखेंगे तो आपको एक unanimous color combination दिखेगा in the entire visual aid that actually helps in making it better. That's the second point. Taglines become very very important whenever we're talking about visual aid. बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाता है because tagline explains what that particular product is to you. If you take a look at fonts, then you'll realize कि हमने basically सिर्फ दो fonts use किए हैं इसमें. One to write the brand name and the detoxification with the tagline, and rest everything that you can see is in one font. Just कहीं कहीं जगह पे हमने color change किया है और हमने उसको क्या किया है, बोल्ड किया है, ये ऑल कैप्स में रखा है, जस्ट टू हाईलाइट द टाइटल ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर सेगमेंट जिसके बारे में हम बात करना चाहते हैं. सो ऑलवेज मेक श्योर दैट यू हैव बेयर मिनिमम फॉन्ट्स, मैक्सिमम 2 to 3 fonts. Now, one more very important and critical parameter of having a, or whenever you're preparing a visual aid, is कि आपका brand name should be easily visible, clearly visible और अच्छे से highlighted होना चाहिए. तो अगर आप इसकी बात करें, so आपका ध्यान बहुत easily goes to this particular branding. So you'll see that there's a basic square patch that is there, and then in that there's brand name, and then brand name is also of a size जो easily visible होगा किसी person. So whenever you are preparing a visual aid या जब भी आप एक visual aid बना रहे हैं, तो उस वक्त पे आपको basically उसके brand name के ऊपर ध्यान देना बहुत ज़्यादा जरूरी है, because we want people to know this brand name, right? Then comes the text matter. Basically you keep it minimum, maximum 2 से 3 point, 3 से 4 point में you try and complete the entire text matter. And because आपके पास text matter के लिए बहुत कम space है यहाँ पे, you only highlight the USPs of your product, right? कि मेरे product की क्या unique selling points है. So if you see this visual aid, you'll realize कि हमने सिर्फ 4 selling points के बारे में बात किया है हमने, even though the product has a lot of other things, but we realized कि ये 4 points जो है वो सबसे important है, and we'll only talk about it, right? Once you're done with that, a visual aid should also have indications and look of the pack कि कैसा मेरा pack दिखता है basically, right? Now you'll be a little confused basically कि visual aid का basic role क्या है, right? कैसे use किया जाता है. So I'll give you a quick demo, or I'll give you an idea about what happens. So imagine you are a medical representative and you are supposed, जैसे if you remember परसों के कॉल अगर आपको याद होगा जिसमें we are discussing brand plan, we told you that इंडिया में बेसिकली मेडिकल रिप्रेजेंटेटिव का जो स्ट्रक्चरिंग है वो it's basically a 15-day cycle. So every medical rep will have around 150, 170, 200 doctors, and the basic idea is कि वो उन डॉक्टर्स को 15 days में मिले एंड आपके प्रोडक्ट के बारे में डिस्क्राइब करे, आपके प्रोडक्ट के बारे में बताए. That is what it is. So what happens is a medical rep meets doctor at least twice a month, and साल भर में they'll meet at least 30 or 40 times. And उस 40 times में उसको इस product के बारे में उससे बात करना है. So whenever the medical rep is meeting a doctor, this particular thing which we call as visual aid acts as a reference point जब भी मैं डॉक्टर से बात कर रहा हूँ, right? Now what basically visual aid looks like is a book. जैसा book रहता है, and what you can say, medical reps open it, and using this visual aid they talk to doctors about the product. So they are talking and they are actually making sure, sir, can you see this visual aid kind of thing, and they talk about it. So I'll give you a demo, right? So this is how it basically works. So whenever you go into doctor's, good morning, ma'am. I am from Siddhayu Healthcare Private Limited, which is a group company of Baidyanath. Today I'm here to present or talk to you about a product which is called as Hepacid. Sir, you basically know that liver is the detoxifier of our body, but because of our food habits and what we consume, it also requires certain level of detoxification. So doctor, whenever your detoxifier of your body requires detoxification, please prescribe Hepacid. Hepacid is basically a liver expert, and then I go ahead and talk about these 4 points that doctor, this product does this, and can be used in this indication, and then you just show them the visual aid that, so this is what it is, right? Now always remember कि जब भी आप एक visual aid बना रहे हो, you need to make sure कि आपका visual aid का जो entire content है वो एक medical rep maximum 1.5 से 2 मिनट में complete कर सके. आप उतना ही matter इस visual aid में डालते हो, right? Now if you have observed, when I gave you a brief description, I talked about brand name, I talked about tagline, I gave them an idea kya hai, I quickly gave them an idea about 4 points. These are the indications, and doctor, please, whenever you see a patient, please prescribe. So the basic theme is that this acts as a visual reference for the doctors. It helps you understand your product and make sure कि आप उस product को easily in a visually appealing way में आप doctors को explain कर सको. And at the same time, एक visual aid कभी भी इस तरीके से होना चाहिए जो आप easily 2 मिनट में उस visual aid के पूरे content को आप explain कर सको किसी भी person को, right? So this is basically a visual aid, right? Now I'll just summarize कि मैंने visual aid तो बता दिया क्या क्या components होने चाहिए. A creative angle to the product जो हमने image के form में हमने represent किया है. A really good tagline which explain what your product is. Make sure that your brand name is large enough and visible enough and highlighted enough. Only make sure कि आप 3 से 4 ही unique points अपने product के बारे में डालें जो एक medical rep easily convey कर सके. A visual aid should always have an indication and pack shot और उसके dosage क्या होना चाहिए. So these are basic components of a visual aid, right? That's the first kind of literature. Now the second kind of literature that to give you an example about how a good visual aid looks like and how a bad visual aid looks like, this is the reference. Now ये भी visual aid मैंने ही बनाया है, right? So this visual aid was something that the concept and the design was mine. Even this visual aid was concept and design, so there are a few corrections that are going around with this particular thing, right? But you can clearly see the difference, right? इसमें there is no concept, no creative component into this. There is no catchy tagline. Yes, आपका brand name बहुत clearly दिख रहा है, but at the same time you have a lot of text going around, right? And that actually leads to कि अच्छा मैं कहाँ देखूँ, यहाँ देखूँ, वहाँ देखूँ, किस तरीके से देखूँ, मैंने किस किस चीजों पे ध्यान देना चाहिए, कितने सारे कंटेंट है इसमें, like you will actually feel that. At the same time, अगर आप ये visual aid को देखिए और इस visual aid को अगर आप कंपेयर करें तो आपको ये ऑब्जर्व होगा कि जो एस्टाबिस एम का विजुअल एड है वो बेसिकली बहुत ज्यादा स्कैटर्ड है. सो उसमें बेसिकली कोई रिदम नहीं है कि मुझे पता है कि मेरा एंगल कहाँ से कहाँ जा रहा है. ओके, यहाँ पे मेरे टेक्स्ट खत्म हो रहे हैं, यहाँ से इमेजेस आ रहे हैं, यहाँ पे इंडिकेशन है. एवरीथिंग इज स्कैटर्ड. वेयर एज इन दिस विजुअल एड यू विल रियलाइज कि एक पेज में स्पेसिफिकली हमने कॉन्सेप्ट पुट किया है विद टैगलाइन एंड वी गेव the entire visual aid some breathing space. On the other hand, जब हमने राइट साइड में बात किया तो हमने we used minimum text and there's always a flow to the entire thing. You'll always realize कि आप अगर right hand side के पेपर को आप देख रहे हैं तो आप सबसे पहले हमेशा आप if you just close your eyes and open it again, you'll realize कि आप सबसे पहले brand name को देखेंगे, उसके नीचे छोटे टैगलाइन को देखेंगे. Then there is a proper flow into text also. The green line indicates how your text move. So you read your first line, then you slowly go for the second line, then you go for the third line, then you go for the fourth line, and as soon as the line ends, the next thing that you can see is indication and then pack shot where doses are mentioned, right? So it's also important कि आप किस तरीके से आपका जो टेक्स्ट का फ्लो है वो कैसा रखते हैं. Always remember, ये बोला जाता है that human eyes actually observe things in Z, right? So human eyes always moves from this direction, then they'll go down and then they'll go right. So आप मेजोरिटी ऑफ मूवीज के पोस्टर्स आप देख लीजिए जो आपको पसंद आते हैं, जो भी आपने मूवी के पोस्टर देखा होगा जो आपको पसंद आता होगा, they make it they always make sure कि जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है जो वो चाहते हैं आप रीड करें वो सबसे ऊपर रहेगा. Then they'll talk about other things, right? That is secondary, and then they talk about the least important thing that you need to know, right? So basically you'll see कि सबसे ऊपर में there'll be a movie name, right, or directed by movie name basically किसका है. Then the next step where the Z का दूसरा angle comes into play, that is where they'll put the poster of the movie. Basically hero heroine का अगर actor actresses का image होगा तो image होगा, or if there's a concept that they'll put there, and then at the bottom end of Z they'll put directed by, release date and all those things, because those are the least important thing, right? So always make sure कि आपका कोई भी literature जो design होता है वो इसी तरीके से design हो, because human eyes work in that way, right? So always make sure कि आपका पूरा content is in Z. So in this case also, HIPAACID is the first part of the Z. This is how it actually goes, right? So first HIPAACID, then the content. Second important, the least important is indication and pack shot, because doctor understands already कि अगर मेरा एक liver tonic है तो उसके क्या basic indications हो सकते हैं और क्या basic dosage हो सकते हैं, right? And this is again an example of bad visual aid. Now this is also very important for you to understand. बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि जब भी मैं इन सब चीजों के बारे में बात करता हूँ, when you see this kind of visual aid, you feel that oh yeah, this looks good, right? And then you start doubting yourself. This is what happened to me. Like when I first saw a good visual aid, I was like, damn, I can't make this visual aid. This is very creative. Will I ever be able to make it, right? And you basically start questioning yourself. So it's very important for you to understand that you always start at this level, right? Because आपको ना उतना ज्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है, ना ही आपने बहुत सारे अलग अलग विजुअल एड्स या लिटरेचर्स आपने देखे. The more you see, the more you observe, the more you read, the more you check out other competition visual aid, ज़्यादा आपको समझ में आएगा कि मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ. So this is a bad example of a visual aid. This is a good example of a visual aid. Now, the next kind of literature is something that we call as leave behind literature, also called as LBLs, right? Now, as the name suggests, leave behind literature is basically something. Now visual aid जो है वो आप डॉक्टर के पास छोड़ के नहीं आते कि सर मैंने आपको इसके बारे में बता दिया, you can keep it now with yourself, right? And you can read about it at any point you want. No, you keep your visual aid, you take your visual aid back. But leave behind literature is something that you tell doctor about and you just leave it behind so that the doctor, whenever the doctor is free, can read in detail about it, right? Now आप basic observation आपका ये रहेगा कि अगर आप visual aids में टेक्स्ट मैटर देखे और अगर आप एक लीव बिहाइंड लिटरेचर के टेक्स्ट मैटर देखे तो आपको हमेशा ऑब्जर्व होगा कि लीव बिहाइंड लिटरेचर में विजुअल एड के कंपैरिजन में ज्यादा टेक्स्ट मैटर है, बिकॉज हम उसको डॉक्टर के पास छोड़ के जा रहे हैं. सो वी नो दैट व्हेनेवर डॉक्टर विल हैव टाइम द डॉक्टर विल रीड थ्रू इट. सो इट्स ओके टू पुट एक्स्ट्रा कंटेंट इन इट. You don't need to wrap up everything in 2 minutes, right? You can just give them a brief introduction and just leave those things over there so that they can read about it later. Now, leave behind literature basically दो category में divide हो जाते हैं, right? One is front and back, where leave behind literature is designed. There's something on front and there's something on back. Or else there are certain visual aids जिसमें the text is not a lot, so you can end everything in one page. So ये literature जो है which we designed is basically a front and back. So the entire motive of this particular, so this literature was designed in Kenya, right? So also this is very important for all of you to understand कि आप किस market में आप डाल रहे हैं, right? इस product को या इस literature को, वो भी बहुत ज़्यादा important है ये define करने में कि आप किस तरीके का उसमें theme put करोगे. Now, because this was specifically for African market, specifically for a country called Kenya, you will see कि इसमें जो आप एक theme देख रहे हो is basically of a black lady. If you see the dressing, it indicates that it is basically from that region. The reason behind doing all of these things is ताकि they feel comfortable around it. Now, इसके जगह पे, if I would have posted a image of an Indian male or a female or an Indian child, they cannot correlate with it because they are not used to seeing human beings in that way or that kind of dressing or that kind of color, to be honest, right? So it's really important कि आप ये भी identify करें. That is the reason I have said कि आपका target audience क्या है, आप वो define करना बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. उसके बाद ही आप ये decide कर सकते हैं कि आप क्या डालेंगे उस literature में. So visual aid का target audience is physicians. आपका leave behind literature का भी target audience physician ही रहता है. Because it's a country specific literature, we went ahead and we designed it in a way that gives a localized look to it. Also, the major motive behind this particular literature was to give them an understanding कि folic acid, why folic acid is really important, to be honest. L-methyl folate, why it is really important. So आप अगर देखेंगे, so the first few lines will actually catch your attention. Oh, the problem is this big, where we have said that worldwide approximately around 3 lakh babies are born each year with neural tube defect, resulting in approximately 88,000 deaths and 8.6 million disability adjusted life years, right? Now, whenever you read this, you see big numbers and that catches your attention. Now, whenever you talk to doctors about this, and this is just to make sure that you catch their attention, they realize, oh, the problem is important and there's solution to that. Now, what is the solution? That you can put in the back page where we have mentioned that, okay, what happens basically, it was basically a comparative study जहां पे हमने बोला था कि आप अगर अपने पेशेंट को स्टैंडर्ड फोलिक एसिड देते हो तो क्या होता है, आप अगर हमारा प्रोडक्ट दोगे तो क्या होगा. एंड देन इफ यू सी the maroon boxes, we have mentioned a few points which highlights कि क्या important है मेरे प्रोडक्ट में, right? So that is important. So these are leave behind literature. It can be a single page or front and back, right? That's second kind of literature. Now the third kind of literature is basically something that I call as one pages, right? Now one pages, in easiest way if I want to explain, is something which incorporates almost the entire information about that one product, right? So वन पेजर में ज्यादा कुछ नहीं रहता है, आप अपने प्रोडक्ट के बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा कितना इंफॉर्मेशन एक पेज पे डाल सकते हो, दैट इज बेसिकली वन पेज. सो अगेन you will realize if you go ahead from a visual aid जहाँ पे text matter आप देखेंगे कि काफी कम है, to a leave behind literature where you'll see the density of text matter is again high because the doctor can now take time and read about it because we are not taking it back, we can leave it back to the doctor. One pager is designed keeping in mind few people, right? First are doctors, right? You send one pages to doctors, you can give one pages to आपका chemist या जो pharmacist रहता है doctor से associate उसके पास, or the nurses. Now one pager आप generally बनाते हो तब जब आप एक new product launch कर रहे हो market, क्योंकि जब आप न्यू प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च कर रहे हो तो उसके बारे में बहुत ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन भी आपको देना है, राइट? सो इंस्टेड ऑफ प्रिपेयरिंग अ लिटरेचर जो 5-6-7 पेजेस का हो, व्हाई व्हाट दे बेसिकली डू इज कि इस प्रोडक्ट के सारे इंपॉर्टेंट क्या क्या पॉइंट्स है वो मैं एक पेज पे समराइज कर देता हूं ताकि यू डोंट नीड टू रीड अ लॉट. बट इफ यू रीड दिस मच अबाउट दिस प्रोडक्ट यू विल गेट टू नो ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग अबाउट दिस प्रोडक्ट, राइट? दैट इज द मेजर मोटिव बिहाइंड दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग, राइट? अगर आप वन पेजेस को स्पेसिफिकली ऑब्जर्व करें, सो यू विल हैव ब्रांड नेम, राइट? Then you start talking about the problem that you're trying to solve, where in this case the problem is bone and joint pain. So we talk about problem कि क्या problems face होते हैं लोगों को, किस तरीके का pain होता है and all those things, and then you tell them कि अच्छा ये problem है, now what can my product do for this? So if you see the pain quit, pain quit, pain quit, these 3 sentences actually explains कि मेरा product pain में क्या करेगा, जॉइंट पेन है तो क्या करेगा, मस्कुलर पेन है क्या करेगा. देन वी हैव 3 मेजर इंग्रेडिएंट्स इन इट एंड हमने इंडिविजुअल इंग्रेडिएंट को भी एक्सप्लेन किया है कि अच्छा ये इंग्रेडिएंट का इस प्रोडक्ट में रोल ये है, राइट? टू गिव देम मोर इंफॉर्मेशन, मोर रिलायबल इंफॉर्मेशन अबाउट दैट पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट. एंड देन वी ऑलवेज एंड इट अप विद मेजर हाइलाइट्स, राइट? कि like when once you are done reading all of these things, right? You go through all the major highlights and then realize, oh, these are the unique points of this particular product. Now, whenever you are using a one pager or a leave behind literature for that matter, अगर आप कहीं पे भी कुछ साइंटिफिक डेटा अगर पुट कर रहे हैं, कहीं पे भी अगर आप कोई किसी भी तरीके का साइंटिफिक डेटा अगर आप डाल रहे हैं, it's important that you put references for that scientific data, because that authenticates कि आप जो भी लिख रहे हैं वो आप randomly नहीं लिख रहे हो. there is a research backed proof कि ये these things work in this way, right? And that is basically a one pager. So again, you'll see that this one pager has way more text matter as compared to your visual aids और LBA. Now, अगर आप तीनों के बीच में बेसिक कंपैरिजन करें तो आपको ये लगता होगा कि यार तीनों तो एक जैसे ही दिखते हैं, भाई डिफरेंस क्या है इन तीनों में, कि LBL कब यूज होना है, विजुअल एड कब यूज होना है, वन पेजर कब यूज होना है, क्या बेसिक डिफरेंसेस है, राइट? सो आई विल जस्ट highlight what are the basic differences between a visual aid, LBL and one pager, और कब आप इनको यूज कर सकते हो, right? The first and most important difference between visual aid, LBL and one pager is that visual aid generally साल में एक ही बार कोई कंपनी बनाती है आपके लिए, right? So visual aid बार बार चेंज नहीं होता है. You make it once and you use it throughout the year. Like that is one of the primary difference between visual aid, LBL and one pager, right? On the contrary, LBLs can be redesigned again and again and again, और आप specific pointers select करके LBLs में बात कर सकते हो. Like to give you an example of this, right? If you see L-folding के बहुत सारे uses है as such अगर देखा जाए, but इस visual aid में हमने बेसिकली उसके एक्टिविटी के बारे में बात की, जहां पे हमने ये बोला है कि स्टैंडर्ड फोलिक एसिड जो है गोज थ्रू 5 डिफरेंट प्रोसेसेस टू कन्वर्ट इनटू एन एक्टिव फॉर्म जो बाद में बॉडी में यूटिलाइज होगा. whereas मेरा जो ब्रांड है एल्फोलिंग, इट ऑलरेडी कम्स विद द एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट जो डायरेक्टली आपके बॉडी में एब्जॉर्ब होता है, राइट? सो द एंटायर थीम ऑफ दिस thing was that yes, neural tube defects are really bad thing and folic acid can help, but L-Folink will actually act much faster than the standard folic acid. Now, next time when I'm planning to make, for example, an LBL again for the same product, next time शायद मैं specifically मैं combination therapy की बात करूँ, या मैं specific indication को उठा के मैं उसके ऊपर बात करूँ. So with LBLs, you have options of selecting various topics that you want to, right? So also you can keep on changing it, right? That's again an advantage because you leave it to the doctor. So generally आप देखेंगे कि every month pharmaceutical companies change LBL so that उनके communication में some, because product तो वही है at the end of the day. So it's important that you keep on changing something so that doctor, whenever your medical rep meets the doctor, the medical rep has something new as an information to give, right? That is where LBL comes into play, right? That's the second major difference. One pages, on the contrary, is utilized only when you're launching a new product or there's something new information that you want people to know. And one pages can actually be given to doctors or physicians or pharmacists or nurses or even your medical representative team, so that they can understand the entire product simply, right? So these are the first three major differences. Second major differences between a visual aid and an LBL and a one pager is its cost. In general, visual aid costs way more as compared to your LBL or a one pager. To give you an example, अगर आपकी कंपनी के पास 20 प्रोडक्ट है और आप 20 प्रोडक्ट का एक विजुअल एड बना रहे हो, it will cost you around 900 rupees to 1100 rupees के आसपास. Like that's just to create a binding of that particular booklet. Designing cost for individual products can go to around 2000 per product design, right? So you can imagine now that a thing that costs you 1500 rupees for a single piece, you cannot keep on changing it again and again. That is the reason visual aid जो रहता है वो साल में एक ही बार बनता है, and then they give it to all the medical reps, and then they keep on changing it every year. Whereas a leave behind literature can be printed in as less as 1.5 rupees to 2 rupees, depending कि size कैसा है. अगर आप A4 size का अगर आप एक लीव बिहाइंड लिटरेचर बना रहे हो तो इट मैक्सिमम कॉस्ट 3.5 रुपीज 4 रुपीज के आसपास. So that is again an important factor. Whereas a one pager will cost you even less, right? Because you always create one pages in bulk because you're launching a new product. तो आप चाहते हैं कि ज्यादा से ज्यादा लोगों को उस प्रोडक्ट के बारे में पता रहे. So that's again a second major difference, which is basically cost. Third major difference is how you prepare them. A visual aid, as I've already mentioned, is prepared in a way so that you can explain everything that's there in visual aid in maximum 2 minutes. Whereas एक LBL जो रहता है is something that you can leave to give back to the doctor or even with the one pages, right? So they'll basically take more time to read, so you can put more text matter onto that particular thing. So that's again one of the major differences between leave behind literature, visual aids, and one pages, right? So I'll just pause for a second. If anyone has any questions with respect to first three literatures, please go ahead and ask a question. I'll just take a second. I'll wait. If you have any questions, unmute yourself, ask a question, or else you can just type it out on the chat box. Okay, I guess there are no questions for now, right? So these are first three literature, right? The next set of literatures that we have is basically posters, right? Again, these are two specific posters. एक basically है diabetic foot. So diabetic patients have a lot of foot related problems, basically diabetic neuropathy. There is always dryness around it. Itching and all those problems are there. Bacterial infections are way more in diabetic patient as far as foot is concerned. And the another one, the other product is basically a galactogog, which helps in improving the lactations in female, right? So these are poster, right? Now posters जब भी आप बनाते हैं तो posters का basic use OTC products के केस में बहुत ज्यादा होता है. Therapeutic products के केस में पोस्टर्स का बहुत ज्यादा यूज नहीं होता है. तो पोस्टर्स आप देखेंगे फार्मास्यूटिकल सेक्टर में या तो ओवर द काउंटर प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए होता है या सप्लीमेंट्स के लिए होता है, और एल्स अगर आप कोई इफ यू आर ट्राइंग टू क्रिएट एनी काइंड ऑफ अवेयरनेस, दैट इज व्हेन पोस्टर्स आर यूज्ड, राइट? दैट्स फर्स्ट पॉइंट. सेकंड पॉइंट, पोस्टर्स हमेशा बहुत ज्यादा क्रिएटिव होने चाहिए एज कंपेयर टू एनी अदर फॉर्म ऑफ लिटरेचर. पोस्टर शुड ऑलवेज बी वे मोर क्रिएटिव. Third point, posters are generally larger in size or minimum A3. A3 is basically अगर आप A4 sheet paper लेते हैं तो उसका double is A3. So that is what it should be. Should be really creative. At the same time, आपने एक poster पे जो भी चीज लिखा है, it should be of that font or that kind of font और उस तरीके का color होना चाहिए that a person can easily see it from a feet or two, right? Because that kind of visibility is really important. That's the reason a poster comparatively is larger than a visual aid or a one pager or an LBL, right? So that's again very important. Now if you see this visual aid, because it's a foot related problem, हमने उसी वजह से एक basic foot लिया, right? And now we need to point out कि क्या है इसमें. बेसिकली हम नॉर्मल फुट की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, हम डायबिटिक फुट की बात कर रहे हैं. सो वी एक्चुअली गेव, हमने एक बैकग्राउंड में टेक्स्ट का पूरा एक फॉर्मेट डाला where we have written act on diabetic foot problems now, right? And we just highlighted one point. So that is tagline, that's the creative part of it. And अगर आप इसके पूरे के पूरे लैंग्वेज को अगर आप देखिए तो लैंग्वेज जो है बहुत ज्यादा सिंपल है, बहुत कम साइंटिफिक टर्म्स का यूज किया गया है. क्यों? बिकॉज इट्स एन ओटीसी प्रोडक्ट. ये पोस्टर्स जो रहते हैं वो या तो फार्मेसी शॉप या तो आपकी ग्रोसरी शॉप्स या ऐसे जगहों पे बेसिकली रहते हैं वेयर नॉर्मल पीपल गो मोर एज कंपेयर टू साइंटिफिकली अवेयर पीपल, राइट? एंड देयर यू नीड टू मेक इट सिंपल एंड क्रिएटिव, राइट? सो इफ यू सी डाइबोसॉफ्ट, बहुत सिंपल टर्म्स में हमने ये एक्सप्लेन किया कि भाई क्यों यूज होता है, कहाँ यूज होता है. अगर आपको डायबिटीज है और डायबिटिक फुट प्रॉब्लम है, आपको मॉइस्चराइजेशन का प्रॉब्लम है, it will protect you and make sure कि if you have cracked it उसको soft करेगा. It reduces itching and dryness, curbs infection, safe and effective herbal formulation, right? Only important points, crisp points in a simplified way जो लोगों को easily समझ में आए, right? Now this is how basically you go ahead and make poster. एक पोस्टर में क्रिएटिव एलिमेंट के अलावा जो उसका टैगलाइन रहता है और उसका जो पैक शॉट रहता है वो बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है, राइट? और टैगलाइन इज वे मोर इंपॉर्टेंट इन केस ऑफ पोस्टर एज कंपेयर टू विजुअल एड, क्योंकि विजुअल एड के केस में आप डॉक्टर से खुद बात कर रहे हो वहां पे, तो अगर उसमें टैगलाइन नहीं भी लिखा रहा तो भी आप उस प्रोडक्ट को एक्सप्लेन कर पाओगे। बट पोस्टर हो, पोस्टर पोस्टर के साथ आप इंडिविजुअली खड़े नहीं रहते हो, वो पोस्टर कहीं पे स्टिक रहता है। सो द आइडिया इज कि पोस्टर शुड बी सेल्फ सफिशिएंट टू एक्सप्लेन कि मैं किस चीज के बारे में हूँ, राइट? सो ऑलवेज मेक श्योर दैट आपका टैगलाइन क्रिएटिव होना चाहिए और टू द पॉइंट होना चाहिए। जैसे हम अगर सेकंड की बात करें शतावरी कैप्सूल की, सो वी क्लियरली मेंशन एंड द टैगलाइन इज इन अ वे वेयर इफ समवन रीड्स उसको समझ में आ जाएगा कि किस चीज के लिए है। इफेक्टिव एंड नेचुरल वे टू बूस्ट लैक्टेशन, राइट? ऑल्सो अगर आप इस प्रोसेस को अगर देखें, so we have highlighted important points where effective is an important point for me which I want to convey. I want to convey that it's not a chemical component or not something which is synthetic, but something which is natural, and it helps you boost lactation, right? To the point, crisp, simple, and highlighted important points, so that whenever you're reading it, what you'll realize it, you'll read all the major things that I want you to read. Same in Dibosoft agar dekhe, so I specifically asked the designer to highlight diabetic because diabetic is something that I want to target. That is my target audience. So I want that word to be clearly visible. And then action. One more thing that is very important is the address of the manufacturer और कहाँ आपको ये product available हो सकता है। बिकॉज अगर पोस्टर देख रहा है उसको कहीं से परचेस करना है तो उसको ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि मैं कहाँ से परचेस कर सकता हूँ। सो इन शतावरी यू विल सी, बिकॉज दिस पोस्टर वाज बेसिकली डिजाइन फॉर लाइबेरिया, वी हैव मेंशन्ड द नेम ऑफ द शॉप where you can buy this particular product, right? So a poster should also have the contact place from where the person can buy this particular product, right? Again, target audience is not your doctor but a final consumer जो आपके प्रोडक्ट को कंज्यूम करने वाला है, ना कि वो जो आपके प्रोडक्ट को प्रिस्क्राइब करने वाला है। बिकॉज हम डायरेक्टली कंज्यूमर्स के साथ डील कर रहे हैं, मेक श्योर कि आपका क्रिस्प हो, डिजाइन अच्छा हो, कंटेंट सिंपल हो, इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड हो, कम से कम साइंटिफिक लैंग्वेज हो। अगेन अगर आप इन दोनों की बात करें, अगेन आई विल गो बैक टू द कलर कॉम्बिनेशन, इट्स एग्जैक्टली इन द कलर कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ द पैक शॉट, बोथ द केसेस। So you'll see that it looks better when you put a pack shot over there, right? Always have an address of the place from where they can buy this particular thing. So these are basically posters. Then comes danglers. ये आप लोगों ने shops में देखा होगा. Again the target is not a physician. It's basically for an OTC product, over the counter product, or a supplement, right? Where you basically hang it on the shops, grocery shops, pharmacy shops, and this needs to be even more crisp, right? So what you basically do is you put a pack shot, you put a brand name, and you just tell in one sentence कि भाई ये किस चीज के लिए, लोगों को समझ में आया कि किस चीज के लिए, इसीलिए एक डाइजेस्टिव ट्रैक का इमेज भी बना दिया है, प्रोडक्ट कैसा दिखता है उसके लिए एक प्रोडक्ट का पैक शॉट है, and to give you what is this particular thing, it's a herbal solution for digestive care. Like if you have any kind of digestive problem, then this is one thing that you can use. So these are basically danglers. So posters and danglers are quite similar. उनका mode of use भी almost similar होता है. The only difference is a poster is a single-sided design और काफी बड़ा रहता है as compared to that. Danglers are relatively smaller and can be basically done in front and back fashion, right? So this is what it is. So in front we have basically talked about कि क्या product है. In back we have basically talked about कि कौन से ailments को treat करता है. Now because it's a dangler और front and back है और वो hanging position में है, so वो always कभी वो like customers जब उसको देखेगा तो कभी उसका front side visible रहेगा, कभी उस dangler का back side visible रहेगा. That is the reason आप अगर closely देखें तो जो important points है वो front and back दोनों जगह पे mention है. जैसे कंपनी का नाम आप देखेंगे फ्रंट एंड बैक दोनों में मेंशन है, ब्रांड नेम विच इज अगेन वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट वो दोनों जगह मेंशन है, और उसका सिंगल लाइन यूज क्या है वो दोनों जगह मेंशन है, हर्बल सॉल्यूशन फॉर डाइजेस्टिव केयर और हर्बल सॉल्यूशन फॉर डाइजेस्टिव केयर, राइट? सो व्हेनेवर यू आर मेकिंग डैंगलर्स, आपको ये बात बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी है समझना कि आपके जो मेजर हाईलाइटेड पॉइंट्स है, जैसे आपका ब्रांड नेम हो गया, आपका कंपनी नेम हो गया, वो क्या करता है, ये सब चीजें बेसिकली दोनों साइड होने चाहिए. and then rest of the things you can decide ki what should I put in front panel, what should I put in back panel. Generally front panel you should have a 3D image or a pack shot of your product. In back you can go ahead and talk about indications or आपकी product की USPs क्या है basically. So that is what it is. At bottom अगर आप देखो, आप देखेंगे we have just added a dosage indication कि आपने कैसे लेना है, because it's a herbal supplement. और अगर आप modern medicine के साथ अगर combination में ले रहे हो, तो you should put a cap of an hour. So that was a warning or a recommendation that we wanted to add, right? This is again an example of similar thing. अगर आप इसमें भी देखें तो हमने वही सारे points mention किया है, right? On both the sides, front and back. Pack shot is on front. Brand name clearly दिख रहा है, company का नाम clearly दिख रहा है. Because it's a gripe water, it's important that a consumer should understand कि it's a child specific product. So that is the reason to give them a reference. यहाँ पे हमने एक digestive system डाला था, whereas we have added a child over there so that they can understand. And in one line, a gift for your little tummies, right? So that they understand that, okay, stomach upset is basically for which this product is, right? And again, at the back, those indications, right? So that is how danglers are basically made, right? Now, one more kind of literature is basically greeting cards. Now, greeting cards is basically there to engage, to make sure that the doctors are engaged on a regular basis. So you prepare greeting cards for different days. Like we recently had Doctor's Day, right? So you'll see a lot of pharmaceutical companies will go ahead, give them a greeting card. Like this was made for World Asthma Day, specifically for World Asthma Day. And you'll see that because it's a greeting card, we don't talk a lot about product. In fact, अगर आप देखें तो हम प्रोडक्ट के बारे में बिल्कुल भी बात नहीं कर रहे. हम लोग सिर्फ यहाँ पे ये बता रहे हैं कि सर टुडे इज वर्ल्ड अस्थमा डे, वी वांट टू कांग्रेचुलेट यू फॉर दैट. एंड हमने वर्ल्ड अस्थमा डे का बेसिक एक स्टेटमेंट जो रहता है, वी एडेड दैट ओके an asthmatic patient basically has these 3 symptoms and asthma attack can come anytime, so help your patient breathe easy. And then हमने सिर्फ एक लाइन में लिखा कि भाई कैसे आप हेल्प कर सकते हो, तो हमारा प्रोडक्ट है, that's it, right? We never mentioned in the entire greeting card कि ये प्रोडक्ट का यूज ये है या इसके बेनिफिट्स ऐसे है या इसका यूनिक पॉइंट ऐसा है. नो, the aim of this greeting card is that you wish doctor for some specific day, right? And in that you just add your brand name, that's it. बहुत सारे cases में you'll realize that people don't even put brand name, they'll just put company's name over there, right? So they know that अच्छा इस company की तरफ से मेरे को एक wish आया. It's as simple as that. So that's a greeting card, very simple. You need to keep it very simple, casual. You need to make sure that there's very less text. And this is not a literature जहाँ पे आप बहुत ज़्यादा आपके product को promote करने में लग जाए. This is one of those things that is basically for doctor and not to promote your product a lot, just to wish the doctors. That's it, right? One last kind of literature that I would want to talk about specifically is called as reminder cards, right? Now, reminder card basically दो तरीके के reminder card हो सकते हैं. One is all product reminder card, right? And the second word is individual product reminder card, right? And दोनों के uses अलग अलग है. Now, for example, आप किसी डॉक्टर से फर्स्ट टाइम मिल रहे हैं या दूसरे बार मिल रहे हैं या तीसरे बार मिल रहे हैं या चौथे बार मिल रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल आप 5 बार मिल चुके हैं उस डॉक्टर से अभी तक, और इनिशियल फेज में व्हेन यू आर मीटिंग द डॉक्टर फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम और इनिशियल फेजेस में, यू नीड टू टॉक अबाउट योर प्रोडक्ट एंटायरली, राइट? एंड दैट इज द रीजन यू हैव विजुअल एड, ताकि आप प्रोडक्ट के बारे में इन डिटेल बात कर सकें कि मेरा प्रोडक्ट ये है, इसके बेसिक यूएसपीज ये है, इसका इंडिकेशन यहाँ पे ऐसा है, डोसेज ऐसे होने चाहिए, XYZ, राइट? But once you have described that product to a doctor for at least 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, then the doctor already knows your product, right? So in that case, it doesn't make sense for you to go ahead and 12वीं बार जब आप डॉक्टर से मिल रहे हैं फिर से आप विजुअल एड निकाल के आप अपने प्रोडक्ट के बारे में डॉक्टर को बताना चालू कर रहे हैं, right? It doesn't make sense because now by this time doctor is already aware of your product, right? Second point here, if your product is not unique, then doctor already knows about it even before you met them for the first time. For example, omeprazole capsule, right? Or rabeprazole capsule for that matter. They already know how proton pump inhibitors act, right? So there's nothing unique that you're talking to them. So if you keep on using a visual aid again and again and again with these kind of doctors or with this kind of product, they'll get irritated for sure. So in that case, something that's to your rescue is reminder cards, right? As the name suggests, it is just there to remind them that these are my products and this is how it is. So this is an all product reminder card where if you want to remind doctors about all the products, then you do this, right? Where you have a brand name and just a small tagline that explain why it is, right? For example, whenever I'm talking about VenoStress, VenovaStress, so it actually indicates that it is for stress. For example, if I'm talking about Spiroactive daily nutrition supplement, for example, that in simple one line, doctor remembers the brand name, doctor also remembers what it is for, right? That is another use of visual aid. One more use of visual aid is basically, for example, like this is something that we used to do with this visual aid, this kind of reminder card is कि मुझे पता है कि डॉक्टर का प्रैक्टिस 10:30 बजे डॉक्टर आते हैं, 10:30 बजे डॉक्टर बेसिकली पेशेंट से मिलना चालू करते हैं. सो इवन बिफोर द डॉक्टर कम्स, मैं बेसिकली व्हाट माय मेडिकल रेप्स यूज्ड टू डू कि वो जो उनके नर्स रहते थे उनसे परमिशन लेके दे जस्ट यूज्ड टू पुट दिस रिमाइंडर कार्ड ऑन द टेबल ऑफ द डॉक्टर. नाउ व्हाट हैपेंस बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इज कि डॉक्टर जैसे ही अपने केबिन में आता है, राइट, उसको सबसे पहले क्या दिखता है, उसके टेबल पे एक रिमाइंडर कार्ड दिखता है जिसपे पूरे उसके ब्रांड्स के नाम लिखे. नाउ यू डोंट इवन नीड टू मीट द डॉक्टर, आपको उसको पूरा एक्सप्लेन करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. आप जस्ट उसके आने के पहले उसके टेबल पे एक रिमाइंडर कार्ड रख देते हो जो उसको रिमाइंड करा देता है कि अच्छा अरे हाँ ये प्रोडक्ट्स है मेरे पास, तो अगर मेरे पास ऐसे कोई इंडिकेशन आता है जहाँ पे मैं इसको प्रिस्क्राइब कर सकता हूँ तो आई विल प्रिस्क्राइब इट इजीली, राइट. So it's basically for recall of doctors to make sure that they are reminded again and again. And it has been proven scientifically that if a doctor is reminded about their product before they start their practice, generally उसका prescription जो रहता है product का it increases by around 10%, which is big in pharmaceutical sales, right? कि अगर कोई डॉक्टर 100 पेशेंट्स को मिल रहा है एक दिन में और अगर आपको उसमें से 100 पेशेंट में से 10 पेशेंट को आपका प्रोडक्ट लिख रहा है because you have reminded 10 prescriptions, a lot of prescription from one doctor, right? So this is basically a reminder card. Now there's one more type of reminder card which we call a single product reminder card, जहाँ पे मैं सारे products के बारे में, जहाँ जैसे हमने यहाँ पे सारे products के बारे में बात किया है, we don't talk about all the product but we talk about only one product. And because हम एक ही product के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं, so we can explain a little more about that one product, as simple as that. Now when do we use this reminder card? We basically use this reminder card when my doctor already prescribes this one product. So for example, मेरे पास ये for example 10 product है, इसमें से my doctor has selected Sidoflex for example, and the doctor has already started writing about writing Sidoflex prescription. So I know that this doctor only writes Sidoflex, so it doesn't make sense for me to tell the doctor all the products. Now Sidoflex के case, it's as simple as that. So what I'll do is I'll make a single product reminder card, right? And I'll just remind that one product rather than giving him brief about all the other products that I have. I'll just put one single product reminder card that will remind doctor about my basically my brand and what are the unique points about my brand, what are the indication and what are the doses, right? It's as simple as that. So these are single product reminder cards, right? So these are all the basic literatures that you will see in pharmaceutical marketing, right? I'll quickly go back to the first literature and we'll quickly revise. It basically starts with a visual aid, then a leave behind literature, then one pagers, you have posters, you have danglers, right? You have greeting cards, you have multi-product reminder card and single product reminder card. Like these are all your ways in which you can communicate to your doctor that okay, this is my product, this is what my product does in different ways at various levels at various positions. You can actually explain that product. Now iske alawa bhi there are a lot of things that are used for promotion of your brands, right? There are some direct ways, there are some indirect ways. Like for example, I don't know how many of you have observed, but बहुत सारे medical reps जो रहते हैं वो अपने कंपनी का शर्ट पहन के डॉक्टर से मिलने जाते हैं where there is a specific brand name that's written on the pocket of that particular shirt, right? So that again is one of the ways of reminding, like because whenever you see someone, you see what they have dressed. Once your eyes goes to that particular dress, you'll see the brand name. Once you see that brand name, that actually acts as a reminder. That actually acts as a thing जो आपको बार बार हैमर करेगा क्योंकि this is a brand name. जितने बार वो मेडिकल रेप आपसे मिलेगा as a doctor, उतने बार आप वो ब्रांड को देखोगे और उतने बार आपका रिकॉल रहेगा. Even the gifts that we give to the doctors, right, they are also always branded, right? So even if you are giving a really good high end pen, तो उसकी पेन के बॉक्स पे आपका ब्रांड नेम का स्टिकर डेफिनेटली रहता है, because anything that goes to the doctors should be able to remind them about your brand, right? Apart from this, there's also something called as marketing dossiers are there. Then there are testimonies जो आप basically लेते हैं doctors से, and then you use that testimonies for all the other doctors. So these are all other kind of literatures that someone can use if they want to talk to doctors about something, and if they want to explain them something, right? So these are basic literatures that is there with a brand manager or a marketing manager or a product manager, and you can use these things to promote your product, remind your product, explain your product, whether it's a OTC product or it's a prescription product. आप इन literatures को दोनों cases में use कर सकते हैं. Right? So that's it. As I've mentioned that today's lecture won't be too long. So that is from my end as far as this lecture is concerned. If you have any questions now, I'll be more than happy to answer your question. ये इस topic से related हो तो भी, if you have any other questions from any of the previous topics, you can go ahead and ask a question.
Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Akshaya. Very well, very well. You explained how to prepare the visual ad. It should be self-explanatory, theme-based, and creative, with tagline, and having suitable color scheme and font size. Second, leave behind literature and one-page literature in which lot of text is there, but it should be covered in one page with proper references. You also explained the major differences of these three literatures. For OTC products, how to prepare posters and danglers, use of greeting cards and reminder cards. Thank you. There is no questions on the chat.
There are a few questions, madam.
I have two questions.
Yes. Now,
so I've just seen the chat box and I could see two questions. So I'll just read out those questions and then I'll answer that.
Okay, fine.
I'll first mute all. Okay. So the first question is, sir, there are various brands and design consultancy agency. Is there any role of such agency in a pharma industry? Yes. So basically होता ये है कि not all pharmaceutical companies will have their in-house designers, right? So as a brand manager, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया है अभी थोड़ी देर पहले कि as a brand manager आपकी responsibility होती है to just give a concept, right? Now to give you an example कि ये कैसे काम करता है, I'll just take you back to this poster, right? So luckily I had an in-house designer, and as you can see the designer was damn good. So I'll tell you what I did, right? So I was talking to that designer और हमने उनसे बात की कि यार हम लोग सोच रहे थे कि हमको पोस्टर बनाना है और हम दोनों डिस्कस कर रहे थे मी एंड माय डिजाइनर कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं, राइट? एंड एट दैट मोमेंट मेरे दिमाग में एक आइडिया आया वेयर आई सेड दैट सर व्हाट इफ वी पुट अ फुट, बिकॉज हम लोग डायबिटिक फुट की बात कर रहे हैं एंड हम बैकग्राउंड में ये लिखे टेक्स्ट का पूरा लेयर है जिसमें ये लिखा रहे कि एक्ट ऑन डायबिटिक फुट प्रॉब्लम नाउ फॉर योर फीट सेक, राइट? बेसिकली टू इफ योर फीट टू बी गुड, मेक श्योर कि आप अपने डायबिटिक फुट का केयर करो. एंड देन मैंने उनको बताया कि सर हम लोग लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में राइट हैंड साइड में एक पैक शॉट डालेंगे एंड देन हम लोग मेजर इंडिकेशंस डाल के हम खत्म करेंगे. So this was my brief to the designer, right? And that is what my responsibility is basically, right? Uske baad, the thing that you see on the screen right now is something that the designer has mentioned. Depending on my brief, कि sir ऐसा ऐसा मैं चाहता हूँ, he came up with this, and I liked it. As simple as that, right? So आपका question जो था is and I'd answer this, that yes, there are a lot of design agencies and they have a major role to play, because as a brand manager आपकी major responsibility is concept generation, right? But not to design these things. So you just give concept, you talk to them about this, that okay, this is how we need to, this is what my idea is, can you make that idea in a way which actually looks better, right? अगर आप दूसरे की बात करें, शतावरी की बात करें, so इसमें luckily when I was researching, when I was thinking क्या बनाना चाहिए, I got this really good image, right? So because we already had an image with us, we just went ahead and prepared it. Like I'll give you one more example of this, कि अगर आप ये one pager देखते हैं, तो इसमें जो आप कलर कॉम्बिनेशंस देख रहे हैं, अलग अलग एंगल्स देख रहे हैं, कहीं पैच डाला है, कहीं पे इमेजेस डाले हैं, माय रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी वाज टू जस्ट गिव दैट पर्सन कि ये मेरा टेक्स्ट मैटर है, राइट, फॉर अ वन पेजर. नाउ विजुअल अपील की जो बात है वो आप मुझे करके दोगे, इट इज योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. सो दैट इज समथिंग अ डिजाइनिंग एजेंसी बेसिकली डज. बट आपका भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल रहता है उस केस में, टू क्योंकि जैसे हमने विजुअल एड की बात किया था, तो हमने बोला था कि प्रोडक्ट का प्लेसमेंट बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. आपका टेक्स्ट मैटर आप कहाँ प्लेस कर रहे हैं, ब्रांड नेम कहाँ प्लेस कर रहे हैं. सो आप जस्ट उस डिजाइनर को ये ब्रीफ दोगे कि यार ये मेरा थीम है, ये मैं करना चाहता हूँ और ये मेरे प्लेसमेंट्स होने वाले हैं. नाउ यू गो हेड एंड डिसाइड. लाइक इन दिस केस, इन दिस विजुअल एड, ये इमेज मैंने दिया था, उसके अराउंड एक यू पैटर्न बनाना, यू पैटर्न के अंदर उसको डालना, उसका टैगलाइन जिस तरीके से लिखा है, वेयर डिटॉक्सिफायर इज रिटन इन अ डिफरेंट वे, एंड उसको बैकग्राउंड में हाईलाइट किया है. These things are done by designers, and that is where designing agencies come into picture, because they take care of all the creative stuff, right? Darshan, I hope I've answered your question, right? If I have not, please go off mute and you can ask anything if you want to. Meanwhile, I'll take next question, which says
one
yes.
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe it is a bit out of context, but still
Yes.
you'll be able to answer. When you give these kinds of literature to the physicians or surgeons, right? Do you consider what we say, we have 3 types of senses, right? Visual sense,
Yes.
auditory sense, and the kinesthetic sense, right? So do you consider these senses while giving the literature to the surgeons or physicians?
Yes. So we know that we can't talk about all the senses, but yes, one of the major reasons why we go ahead with visual aids or literatures or this kind of designing is so that it can actually appeal your eyes. जैसे हमने यही कहा कि जैसे अगर मैं इस प्रोडक्ट को देखता हूँ and then अगर मैं इस प्रोडक्ट को देखता हूँ, so as a normal this product looks good, right? So we can't cover all those senses, but when we are preparing, yes, there are certain things in mind where we do think that okay, we need to make sure that this looks better, like visually it should look nice. As far as audible senses are concerned, जब भी हम किसी भी डॉक्टर्स को या मेडिकल रेप्स को हम विजुअल एड या LDL हम देते हैं, राइट, we also give them something called as detailing stories. Now, the reason behind that is we don't want medical reps to go and randomly talk about anything, right? There need to be context कि मैं क्या बात कर रहा हूँ, and it should be in a way जो डॉक्टर को समझ में भी आए और उनको अच्छा भी लगे और बहुत कम समय में उस चीज को explain कर पाऊँ. So then we give them detailing story where we tell them how to concise the entire visual aid in, like, say for example 10 sentences. So वो audible का भी ध्यान दिया जाता है, visual का भी ध्यान दिया जाता है. Recent, like I've seen this in past 2 years, and this is something that we also did in my previous company. Things are going digital, right? And things are going in audio visuals a lot. So rather than I talking for 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, I make a visual representation or an animation of the entire concept. I have a tablet that is something that we have given to medical reps and area managers, and they just play it to the doctors. And whenever they want to talk about it, they just pause it and they explain it. So digitally दिखता अच्छा है, audio भी आ रहा है उनको, और हम conversation भी कर पा रहे हैं. So we do take care of multiple things. And recently, because अभी हमारा technologically we are becoming way better and technology is becoming cheap, a lot of companies are shifting towards using tablet for all these things rather than using hard copies. And बहुत सारे literatures अभी WhatsApp पे जाना चालू हो गए, doctors को mail पे जाना चालू हो गए, because that is easily accessible also. So yes, that happens.
Okay, thank you very
Uh,
much.
Akshay, there is one my question is
that,
there.
yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes. My question is, as we know, all of us, that there is a huge response, there is a huge products from the various pharmaceutical sectors actually, that means various companies. So, what kind of innovative promotions they used to for the selling of their
Oh,
products?
there
So,
are a
how
lot of,
is there
yes,
any
yes.
new kind of the marketing strategy is there? So, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
everybody would like to increase their market day by
yeah.
day. So, is
So as a brand manager, आपका basic responsibility यही होता है कि how creative you can get with the promotion of your product, right? And there are a lot of creative things that are happening in this particular segment. To give you an example, so just before I left my job at this company, I was working on launching a prebiotic and probiotic combination, right? Now ये prebiotic and probiotic combination is basically designed, मतलब that product that we were working on was designed specifically towards pediatric patient, right? तो हमारा जो target audience था वो था एक pediatrician. Now one of the major challenges that any pediatrician face is जब उसके पास 5 6 7 10 बच्चे रहते हैं तो उन 10 बच्चों को engage करके रखना, because अगर वो 10 बच्चे एक साथ मस्ती करने लगे so then it will create chaos and it becomes difficult for doctor to function. So आप देखेंगे कि almost all the uh, like dedicated pediatrician will have some kind of thing there जिससे बच्चे खेलते रह सकते हैं and do all these things. So while we were launching this particular product, we were working on launch. अभी launch नहीं, because of COVID we are not able to launch that product. So our basic promotion idea was to give every, so we prepared a outline जिसमें sketchbook जिसमें the kids can actually color it, right? And उस पे we posted our brand and we placed 100 such copies to all the doctors, right? And वहाँ पे crayons हमने रख दिया था. And then with all the packs, right, we also gave doctors small what you can say play toys that the doctor can give to the patient, which is a child, whenever they're prescribing the product, right? So that's again making sure that doctor is engaged, doctor becomes happy, because we are taking care of a lot of things which will take care of kids जो वहाँ पे मस्ती कर रहे हैं. And then doctor also has something to give to the kids that make kids happy, right? So that's again a unique way of talking about like launching a product. Similarly, we were launching sunscreen. So there we wanted to, like, for the first time when we went to the doctors, specifically to our key opinion leaders, we wanted to give them something unique. Generally, we used to give them flowers. So this time we thought, let's give them flowers made of chocolate. So it's again a very good thing. So it was a aluminum foil ka flower, right? And every flower basically had a chocolate ball into that particular thing. And its puri assembly ko we basically put in a carton, just the branding kiya tha, as simple as that. So you give it to the doctor. You're neither giving them a simple chocolate, you're neither giving them a simple flower, but you give them that. When they open it, they get surprised that, oh, it also has a chocolate, where they actually think that it's actually just a flower. So there are a lot of innovative stuff and has space to do it. ये आपकी क्रिएटिविटी के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि आप क्या करना चाहते हैं. वो आप कितने अच्छे तरीके से आपके सीनियर्स को एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं सो दैट दे आर इन विद दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लान. एट द सेम टाइम आप कितने बजट एफिशिएंट वे में कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज आई कांट स्पेंड 500-600 rupees on one gift if I need to give that particular kind of gift to 500 doctors. तो बजटिंग इंपॉर्टेंट है, आपकी क्रिएटिविटी कितनी ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, फिजिबिलिटी क्या है उसकी, और आप कितने इफेक्टिवली उस चीज को एक्सप्लेन करके अप्रूवल ले सकते हैं. आप उस पर डिपेंड करता है व्हाट यू कैन डू एंड व्हाट यू कैन नॉट डू, राइट? सो इट्स ऑल अबाउट इट. सो दैट इफ यू वांट आई कैन गिव यू वन मोर एग्जांपल ऑफ दिस.
Nicely explained, Akshay.
Nicely explained. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I can also see there are 2 more questions on the chat box. I'll
They
just
are
try and answer that. So the course for design. Okay, I'll just answer briefly. There are definitely a lot of courses that's there, right? But see, आपको designing नहीं करना है basically, right? So आपको designing का tension नहीं लेना है. It is designer's thing. आपका this is something that's going to be used. So how creative you can be in visualizing क्या चाहिए, इतने अच्छे तरीके से आपके डिजाइनर को एक्सप्लेन कर सके. But if you still want to learn something, see if you can learn Adobe Illustrator and Corel Draw. So if you know these two softwares, then आपको डिजाइनिंग समझ में आएगी एंड देन आप प्लेसमेंट आपको समझ में आएगा. फॉर मी एज एन इंडिविजुअल मुझे ये प्लेसमेंट समझ में आ रहा है बिकॉज आई पर्सनली लर्न Corel Draw and Adobe Illustrator. So if you can just learn these two softwares, that would be a little helpful. Honestly, it's not necessary, but if you do it, it's an addition to what you can do because then you understand designing concepts.
Okay. So let us summarize
Yes.
what we have learned in all the 6 days. The module was divided into 6 topics, all related to marketing. So on the first day, we learned about the pharmaceutical marketing environment. The second day, we learned about understanding the concept of brand in pharmaceuticals. Third day, it was all about the market segmentation and brand positioning. Fourth day, it was about the product life cycle and portfolio management. Third day, which was very important, fifth day, about the brand plans and how to make an effective brand plan. And not the less, the last day, that is today, the various literatures for the brand promotion. All the 6 lectures were wonderful, Akshay. Let me thank you once again. And as you anticipated about the learning outcomes, I'm sure everybody will appreciate that all the learning outcomes has been achieved after attending all the 6 lectures, or in fact, those who attended the 6 lectures, they must have achieved those outcomes, like the importance of new product development to an industry, then to organize or contribute an idea generation sessions, and the tools and techniques that are involved in the design and development of new products. So all these 3 learning outcomes has been achieved. I'm extremely thankful to Akshay for sparing his time for 6 huge days. I know what type of effort you must have put for such a wonderful presentations. But at the same time, I am thankful to my organization, that is Guru Nanak College of Pharmacy, and the principal, Dr. A.M. Ittadwar sir, and the management of the Sikh Education Society for allowing us to host this 6-day module on new product development management from concept to market. I'm extremely thankful to the organizing committee, which includes Mr. Sachin Dudhe from Maharashtra Institute of Pharmacy, Brahmapuri, Mr. Shishupal Bodhankar from Bajirao Karanjekar College of Pharmacy, Sakoli, Mr. Mr. Irshad Ahmed from Sri Sainath College of Pharmacy, Nagpur, Mrs. Shelju Gurnani from Priyadarshini JL College of Pharmacy, Nagpur, and I could see Dr. Asnani Madam also from Priyadarshini JL College of Pharmacy, Nagpur. Then Dr. Sushil Burle from High Tech College of Pharmacy, Chandrapur. I'm thankful to all of them for organizing such a beautiful and such a informative and innovative, in fact, knowledge-giving module. I'm also thankful to the Talking Point Institute for organizing this module. Finally, I'm thankful to Mr. Tirupati Rasala, who was handling the entire logistics of this module. Similarly, Dr. Vaishali Kilor Madam, Dr. Shilpriya Walde Madam, and Dr. Mithali Bodhankar Madam for their valuable views and suggestions. And finally, I'm extremely thankful to Akshay, who has given such a wonderful, informative and knowledgeable talk on pharmaceutical marketing. Also, I'm extremely thankful to all the participants who has actually motivated us to conduct this module and made this module successful because of their extreme response and participation. So thanks and thank you all. So with this, I hand over mic to Rasala sir. Rasala sir, are you there?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. I request everyone. Students are there. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
So I request everyone kindly take note that yes, we are going to mail the certification of participation for this 6 days module. But before you will get this certificate, we would have one examination based on this 6 days lectures of module. So 6 days मॉड्यूल्स के ऊपर एक हम लोग 20 मार्क देयर विल बी a 20 marks examination and that will be a final examination. So you need to clear the examination and then only you will get the certificate, right? So I request everyone to attend the examination, and I think from the 6 days modules you get you gained a lot of knowledge from this pharma sector and pharma marketing point of view. So hope everyone enjoyed this session a lot. Thank you very much. So those whoever would like to
Thank you,
contact
sir.
me, they
Thank
can
you, ma'am.
contact me. Yes, and last but not least, Akshay, I'm very much impressed with your talk. The transformational changes that I could see in you. So the way back when you were in Guru Nanak College of Pharmacy as a student. So the such
Yeah.
a transformational change that I'm seeing right now. So I really appreciate you, Akshay. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir. So, as soon as you said that, I remember one instant. I still remember. I was actually a really aggressive person back then. I remember मुझे अच्छे से याद है कि वालदे मैम ने मुझे एक बार बिठा के अच्छे से डांट लगाई थी, and I was like, damn, I need to get back to normal. And I don't. So for me, like looking at all these, I stay in touch with Kale ma'am quite frequently. But looking at Walde ma'am, Rasala sir, Loya sir, I saw Gurnani sir also one day. मुझे ऐसा पर्सनली फील हो रहा था कि मैं वापस कॉलेज जा रहा हूँ, and I was feeling really happy. Like I've spent 6 years of my life over there, and I can actually say that it is because of that particular college that I was able to achieve a lot of these things. As far as technical skills is concerned, communication skills के लिए भी मुझे platform उसी college ने provide किया है. And again, I am actually improving day by day because the college still provides me those platforms where I can talk about all these things. So yes, I'm really happy that Guru Nanak College of Pharmacy is doing such things even at this particular time. At the same time, all the other colleges. मुझे initially ये बात नहीं पता थी कि बहुत सारे और colleges भी रहेंगे इसका part. But when Kala ma'am told me that part, I was like, oh, how is it going to happen? But I was really happy. Like almost through all the 6 call, minimum numbers of like people who are there on the call are 70, 60. एक कॉल में तो there are 100+ people. I was like really excited for that, and let's see. I'll be more than happy to keep on doing all these things again and again. So thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you,
Nani sir,
Akshay.
Thank you, everyone.
Walde ma'am, Kali ma'am, and
Thank
thank
you.
you everyone else.
Yeah.
And टेस्ट के लिए प्लीज मुझे कोई रीच आउट ना करे. I won't give you answer even though you have my numbers, because I won't give you.
And one more instruction to all the students. If you have any query about the module and such other things, you can contact to your co-leads. So there is a respect to co-lead from every college, right from the JLC to the end of Maharashtra Institute of Pharmacy, Brahmapuri. So any query about any maybe related to the examination or the module, anything, you can contact to your co-lead and he will give the further details regarding the same, right? So thank you very much.
Thank
I
you,
have posted my email ID and phone number in the chat box, right? So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, but I'll try and solve all your questions as much as I can, right? So thank you everyone. Thanks for your time. It was lovely having you all here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.